Hi there. So, as you may well know, a dude named Bernie Sanders, a self-proclaimed socialist, was pretty popular in the last US presidential election, and with good reason. He had a lot of good ideas, and his popularity has also raised the question, like, what is socialism exactly? Which is a question a lot of people have, including, me, before I found out, because the American school system gives you Animal Farm in ninth grade and says, yes, see, the pigs mean not capitalism is bad. By the way, George Orwell was a socialist, and that book was a pretty specific critique of Stalin, but that's a topic for another video. Usually, when you're taught in school what socialism is, you get an intentionally skewed and almost entirely inaccurate view of it, because the people telling your teachers what to teach are capitalist, and are pretty invested in seeing no one educated as to the alternatives to capitalism. So, what is socialism? If we're doing like dictionary definition, it's defined as a political and economic theory of social organization that advocates that the means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole. Okay, so what the hell does that mean? TLDR, it's like the common ownership of the means of production, man. Okay, so what the hell does that mean? Basically, it means that people who work, aka you, probably, are in control of what you produce. Worker-owned factories are a good example of how this might function that exist within our current framework. There are a lot of different ideas as to how this happens, but we'll get to that also later. One way this can function is the workers all form a council, and all the decisions are made democratically by meetings instead of some corporate arsehat who's never even seen the inside of your building deciding what you can and can't do. You and the people you work with decide what you do with the stuff you make. Some workers' councils may decide to elect managers, but those managers are just that, people who manage things on a wider view, as opposed to people who may specialize in only one or two things. But, and this is important, they are not treated as superior to any other worker. Everything is flat, horizontal, so everyone is treated equally and gets an equal share of what they produce. Socialism is the means of production, which is anything that goes into making a product or service, belonging to everyone, not by a big boss man with his cigar and gray tie, I assume. But wait, you may think, doesn't that mean Big Brother government comes in? Well, short answer, no. Long answer, no. You see, the state does more to help capitalism than to hurt it. The state is the one who protects corporations. The state is the reason corporations are recognized as a thing in the first place. The state is the only reason a dude with a lot of money can say, hey, I have a lot of money, I'm a company now. And the state is like, yeah, you're totally a company now. And the dude's like, you know what? It would be sweet if people were breaking the law if they mess with me. Also, here's some money, the state. And the state is like, cool, all the things you just said are right. But wait, you may also be saying, what about human nature? Wouldn't people just be lazy? One, no, because humans' behavior adapt to the environment they're placed in. If you're placed in a society that values equality, there's a good chance you will too. And two, no, because here's the thing, you actually have way more incentive to work in socialism because it actually counts. You're not being paid, like, barely enough to make rent, barely enough to eat, barely enough to treat yourself to the very basic pleasures of contemporary life. And if you're still stuck on capitalism, think about this. Our technology has increased so much since the Industrial Revolution. Our standard of living should be high enough that every single one of us should live like kings compared to even 100 years ago. And yet, here we are, still working minimum wage jobs, paycheck to paycheck, struggling to survive. It's not a question of how much wealth we have, but who has it? It's a very basic question of who gets to eat. This dude, or, everyone. Bonus round! Here's what socialism is not. Libraries, public healthcare, free tuition. These are not socialism, although these things are also cool. There's a whole lot more to say about all of this, but that's the basics, or at least one form of the basics. It can be complicated because there's really no, one universal interpretation, but for right now, just kind of take this as a baseline. We'll get to the different forms of socialism in, you guessed it, later videos. Oh, and one more thing. Capitalism and socialism cannot coexist. They are two entirely different methods of doing things. One results in billionaires who do nothing but take money from the paychecks of the workers, and the other results in everyone being paid, like a living wage. And more than that, even what they're worth, which is a whole lot more than they are under capitalism. And actually, according to some Marxist thought, socialism is actually a temporary stage that comes between the fall of capitalism and the practice of communism. So wait, what the hell is communism then? That sounds scary. Well, I'm glad you asked, because next time we're going to answer that question. Until then, hit that subscribe button for the reasons that you normally subscribe to a channel, and press like if you want, if nothing else, to counter all the people who come to this page, dislike it, and leave an angry comment without even watching the video. And of course, thank you for actually watching.